Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Tuesday everyone. Time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So lots going on around here guys, as usual. So why don't we get started? So the orange Ghia, which by the way is a 70, 68, 70. We've got another 68 outside and a 72 outside. And there's another Ghia or two on their way here whenever I give them the green light. But anyway, we have not really done much on the Signal Orange 70 for like almost a month, guys. I think we've been kind of focused on this one to some extent, and I've been working on some of these other projects, including the 67 Beetle and Big Blue for that matter. So yeah, finally told Rafa, you know what, let's get back on this one, make some headway on this poor neglected soul over here in the corner. So first thing he did, which it was desperately in need of, is he gave it a sponge bath, so to speak. It's looking pretty dusty, but now, whew, look at that, guys, that paint just pops. Wait till we do our final polish and ceramic coat and stuff on it. It's gonna look unreal. Anyway, enough of that. Let's see what Rafa did today. So here we'll start up here at least. So he took the grills and cleaned those, restored those, painted them, installed them, and so they look amazing, of course. Super cool. It's almost too bad in the way that they're hidden behind these grills, but yeah, kind of looks racy with just those. I think I made the exact same comment about this one before we put in the sort of outer grills. Anyway, so yeah, he restored those and put them in. And he put in that big, cleaned and put in that big donut right there that goes, or the filler neck where it runs through the body. And then likewise, he took the whole mechanism here for the fuel release, so fuel door release rather, which is this little thing here that moves when you pull the lever, which is located right here, this D-shaped deal right there. You pull that and that releases the fuel lever. Anyway, let's see if we can see this up underneath here. Yeah, you can kind of see it up underneath there. Yeah, so it routes from there to there, and it had overspray and stuff all over it from when we painted the car. It was left on there for a while and kind of had a bunch of primer stuff. Anyway, cleaned that up, put that on, put on the little stoppers here for the fuel door. The fuel door itself, we're going to repaint it. The paint on it, for whatever reason, didn't come out great. So no problem, because we have two full-time paint and body guys. So anyway, but yeah, before that goes on, we will definitely redo the paint on that little door. Let's see what else he did. He installed the horn relay up there. Ooh, look at that, an original one. Cool. Fingers crossed crossed that it works. Probably did. I'm guessing he tested it. Let's see what else. Ghias, guys. Super complicated. So these sort of Y connectors underneath here that connect the fresh air ventilation system and the defrosters up here to the windshield. So he basically restored those and put them on, and we basically like make rubber boots essentially where they connect to the tubes on the body there. It's like a lot of things on Ghias, kind of a pain in the butt, frankly. But yeah, so those went in. That's actually one of the first things you need to do before you get too ahead of yourself on the dash on these, because once you start putting a lot of stuff in, you can't really get back there. So definitely an early thing here when putting the dash together on a Ghia is to go ahead and put those in and get them all connected and stuff. Get that out of the way. And let's see, I think those are probably the main things here that he did. He installed the striker plates for the doors there and there, which we previously had zinc plated. And I think those are the major things, guys. So yeah, he pretty much worked almost his whole shift, so to speak, on this one. But yeah, and also importantly, we made a pretty big shopping list for this car. So tomorrow I'll be placing an order with airhead parts and or West Coast metric, depending on who has what. But yeah, so we're going to be getting a lot of parts for this one, and it'll be going together, should go together pretty well fast, I say, but nothing's really fast on a Ghia. But yeah, we're going to start making some headway on this one again, and probably ever so slightly put this one on the back burner. There's only so much of me and Rafa to go around here. So yeah, probably this one is going to be getting attention here. This one may be neglected for a little while, but don't worry. That's kind of what we do, is jump around from project to project, you know, work a week here, a week there, and eventually they get done. Again, we're doing pretty much full restorations, which include paint and body, generally speaking, in about a year. Sometimes a little more, especially if there's a lot of custom work or whatever done. But yeah, like a stock restoration, including paint and body, generally about a year. This one maybe a little bit more because the rust and stuff was so extensive on it that it did spend a little bit more time in paint and body than sort of a typical car would. But yeah, that's kind of what we aim for, guys, about a year. There's no reason it should take longer than that. So that was Mr. Rafa's day. Why don't we talk about my day? Hold on one second. Okay, had to grab my cheat sheet here because I worked on a bunch of different cars today. First thing I did this morning was to put in the official last window on this guy here, this 60 Baja Bug. So it now has its windshield, which went in quite nicely, I might add. New seal, of course, new trim, new windshield for that matter. The one that came out of here was cracked. And so, yeah, all the windows are in now. So, yay, Baja Bug. And even as we speak, our upholstery wizard, Santiago, is working on the seats for this car. We still are waiting for the springs for one front seat bottom, and then those will go to powder coating and then finish up the interior. So, yeah, there you go. That's what's going on with this one. Let's see here. What else? I did also work on the motor for Big Blue today, because I think finally I was going to do this a couple weeks ago, and then I kind of got sidetracked with some other projects. I am planning, hopefully, fingers crossed, to take this motor, which is of course the 20, I always forget because it's not a real common size, 2161. Yeah, there it is, 2161 cc motor for Big Blue there, the 69 bay window bus. Planning to take this puppy to AJ Sims at Low Bucket, who consequently makes the fuel injection system. Anyway, planning to take this motor to his shop and strap it on his dyno probably on Thursday and go ahead and run it, make sure that at least the tune of the fuel injection system is as good as we can get it on a dyno. At least obviously there'll be more self-learning that it'll do once we're driving around in the car, but at least, get it close. He does put a base map on these based on what car it's going in, kind of the specifications of the motor, and at least the last one I did, it was pretty damn close right off the bat. The thing ran pretty good right out of the box, so to speak, as far as the fuel injection system. But anyway, yeah, it'll be good to strap it on the dyno and run the motor in a little bit and do any tweaking on the fuel injection. So to that end, I did finally add the oil filter mount here and just plumbed it in temporarily. It'll mount up underneath the car, but in the meantime, just some excess hose here to so that we can set it off to the side when the motor's on the dyno, and then we'll cut those to length. We'll also be putting an external cooler on this car, so the plumbing, instead of exiting here and going back to the motor, it'll actually exit here, go to a remote cooler, and then back to the motor. So a little bit more plumbing here, but for the dyno, we don't need all that extra cooler and all that stuff. So, yeah, that is what's happening here. So yeah, added oil, added that, went around and tightened some screws and stuff that I hadn't tightened before. The muffler is still loose because I'll probably pull it off when we transport it because it's just big and clunky and it's going to be in the way. But yeah, I did also put his breather box on, and at least for purposes of the dyno, went ahead and connected the hoses. These have right angle bulkhead fittings on because I'm going to run these through the front engine tin through these bulkhead connectors. So for now, they're just kind of hanging out there in space. But yeah, those will be sort of sitting like that through the front engine tin. So yeah, this one is it's ready to go on the dyno now. Got oil in it and everything. So that should be pretty cool, guys. I will definitely take some video of that and post that up when the time comes as well. So next I turned my attention to the red hot rod oval window here. And let's see, let's walk around the front of the car here. So spent a little bit more time on the fuel system up front and think I figured out how I'm gonna sort of mount everything. So there is the pump. The pump had kind of like attached to it a big fat metal filter, which was just in the way and had an enormous fitting, like barbed fitting on it that was just gonna make it very difficult to sort of adapt it to the 5mm lines of the car. So I went ahead and took that off. And then on the inlet of so I've got this hose. This will ultimately connect to the tank, and then the outlet. A little hard to see here. Grab my light. On the outlet side, there we go. I've got a 8mm braided German hose going there, and then that goes into, you can barely see it right there, a fuel filter. And the good thing about these fuel filters that we commonly use on Volkswagens is they take both 8 or 5mm fuel lines, so you can pretty much use one as an adapter. So again, 8mm hose going from the pump and then to a filter, and then stepping down to 5mm because that is what the hardline on the chassis is. So that's that. And then likewise on the inlet side, I had to go up to a 5/16 hose, which also, by the way, fits on those filters. And then I'll go to a 5mm hose, and then that'll connect to the underside of the tank. So I've got all that figured out. And I didn't have to buy like 100 different barbed, fittings and reducers and stuff like that. So relatively clean. It'll have a filter on the inlet and the outlet of the pump. Not a big deal. More filtering is better, if anything. And then there's a filter at the back of the car too. So this car is going to have some really clean gas by the time it goes through 3 filters. Anyway, so I did that, and then I went ahead, which I've been kind of dreading, honestly, because I've done it before and it's not that much fun, is mounting the remote oil cooler up underneath here. So let's crawl up underneath here and take a look at that. Well, here, you can actually see it from there. So it's not plumbed in yet, but there it is. There's just not a lot of room up underneath these back of these cars on Beetles. There's not a lot of room, guys. And so yeah, there it is, all tucked up in there. And so basically I made some mounts that pick up the body there and there, and then bolt to the sort of flange or whatever you want to call it here on the cooler. And then likewise on the front of the cooler, I don't know if you guys will even be able to see this. I made sort of a mount. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you can kind of see it. There. Made a mount to mount the I guess technically the back of the cooler towards the back of the car, just in one spot on the center there. So that's plenty. It's mounted in three spots, 2 towards the front of the car and 1 towards the back here with 6mm hardware. That thing is not going anywhere, guys. Really a pain in the butt, as you can imagine, to work up underneath here and figure out where this thing's mounting and that it's not going to be in the way of anything. But now at least it's mounted. So now the relatively easier part is routing the oil hoses to and from it. So I will probably go ahead and try and knock that out in the morning. Let's see. And then also the only other thing I have to do is I have to put in, he has a thermostat right here which controls the fan on the remote oil cooler. And I think these are normally set at, well, there it is, 80 degrees C. So when this oil coming through here going to the cooler hits 80, it'll turn the fan on. So that's how these work. So yeah, I got to plumb that in too. And I think I mentioned before, the oil filter itself is already mounted up underneath here, but the fittings are just kind of not really screwed on all the way. So yeah, you need to route that so it'll go from the motor, basically the outlet of the fuel pump, to the inlet here, which is this side, from the outlet, which is this side, to the, probably actually to the thermostat, and then from the thermostat into the oil cooler, and then out of the oil cooler and back into the main galley of the case, essentially. So anyway, I'll probably try and do that tomorrow, and then that's kind of a big, going to be a big step for this car. That's one of the last, I guess what I'd call kind of major / PETA, pain in the you-know-what type things for this car, was mounting and plumbing the oil system. And I have not really been looking forward to it, but finally it's like, all right, I got to do this. So there it is. Now I got to just plumb it, which is relatively easy compared to mounting it up underneath there, you know, laying on my back and drilling holes and stuff like that. Anyway, guys, that's actually it for today. So thank you all very much for watching as usual, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.